Hey, it's the Profit Answer Man, Rocky Lalvani. If you're new to the podcast, check out my interview with Mike Michalowicz. It's episode number 2. If you want to hear about each chapter in the Profit First book, go back and listen to episodes 3 through 13. Episode 1 is the why and how. On the Profit Answer Man, we learn money mastery without all the complicated accounting mumbo-jumbo using a simple system. Your accountant is busy documenting your transactions and creating a rearview mirror of what happened. My guess is you don't even look at the reports they sent you. If you're like most business owners, you struggle with this, and it's not your fault. We aren't taught money in school, and accountants aren't taught how to be profitable. The Profit First system created by Mike Michalowicz works, and he certified me to help you implement the system in your business. Remember, the new equation is sales minus profit equals expenses. Let's face it, without cash flow, you can't pay your employees, buy needed materials, or pay your mortgage and support your family. I help you to do that and more, so you can focus on the parts of the business you love and receive the rewards for your labor and investment into your business. The stronger you are as a business owner, the more jobs you create, the better we are as a country. Small business owners are the backbone of America, and for that, you deserve to be well rewarded. Just remember, more revenue does not equal more profit. That's why we focus on the bottom line. At the end of the day, you need surplus in your business and your life. And that's what we're talking about today. How do we create that intersection between us, our business, and our family? Rocco truly understands this, and you will hear how he does it in his business and how he helps others to do so as well. Rocco Carriero is a comprehensive wealth advisor specializing in working with business owners, CEOs, and entrepreneurs. He's a chartered retirement planning counselor, accredited portfolio manager advisor, and he holds an MBA in banking and finance. He's got over 20 years of experience. In addition to being on the Profit Answer Man, he's been on Fox, NBC, and other financial insight shows. He's also been listed in publications like the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Fortune, Wealth Management Magazine, along with many others. Rocco gives back by serving on many foundation boards. He lives in Eastern Long Island with his wife and 2 wonderful kids. Let's meet Rocco. Welcome to the Profit Answer Man, Rocco Carriero. It's great to have you join us today.
Hey, thank you so much, Rocky, for having me.
Can you share a little bit about what you do and what your business is?
Sure, be happy to do so. My core business is I'm a comprehensive wealth advisor specializing in working with CEOs, business owners, and entrepreneurs, basically helping business owners structure comprehensive financial plans and looking at the 3 most important areas of their life. We look at themselves as a business owner, we look at themselves as an individual, and of course, we look at themselves as a family person. And that pretty much makes up the core focus of our strategic plan.
And that's what we're here to talk about is your book, which is the 3 chords. And you've kind of already alluded to it a little bit, but let's just make sure it's clear for the audience. What are the 3 chords that you talk about in your book, and why did you come up with that analogy?
Well, the idea behind the 3 chords approach to life and wealth management for business owners came from this idea of working with this particular group of people for about 25 years. And I saw that there was a lot of similarities that we saw in all the cases that we worked on. We saw business owners that might have been really terrific at business, might have been in great health, took great care of themselves, but they might have had multiple challenges with their family, married multiple times and had a lot of challenges with that. Or we saw business owners that were terrific family people, had great businesses, but completely neglected their own personal health and well-being. Or we saw business owners that did a great job of taking care of themselves, and they were very focused on their family, and their businesses started to kind of like collapse over time because they weren't focused on that. And what we found was that the business owners that had that had true wealth worked on all three areas of the three chords. And the reason why we use chords as an analogy is that if each chord individually is not as strong as if you tie them together. You take three chords, you put it together. If everything's working together, that chord becomes unbreakable.
And that's important. Business isn't easy. It's a struggle at times. And so having that ability to build that strong foundation, I think, is super, super important. One of the things, though, and I know people struggle with balance, and you talk about the three chords, but you also say that you need to maintain them all, but not necessarily at the same time. Can you expound on that?
Absolutely. It's impossible to work on those three different areas at once, but they're all important, right? And so how are you actually able to do that with, we know the life of a business owner. They're so busy. They've got a million things going on. The only way to do it is to calendar it out, to follow something called a model calendar, which is in the book. The model calendar looks at your key activities, the important things that you need to do, the must-dos, the things that absolutely have to happen no matter what. And if on your calendar, your must-dos are your business, yourself as an individual, and your family, you're much more likely to be able to work on all three of those areas, as opposed to what most business owners do is they calendar everything out for their business, but very rarely put anything on the calendar for themselves or for their family.
And I know you talk with the model calendar about the focus days, buffer days, free days, and putting them all out there and then creating margin. And I know my calendar is built with tremendous amounts of margin so that we have that ability to do those things. And what I did for family is my kids and my wife know that if they need me somewhere, just put it on my calendar and I will be there for them. And because it locks it out, I know that I can't put something else in that spot because my kids expect me to be somewhere. And now they're in college, so I have a lot more free time. But when they were in school, like we'd plan out the entire year, drop in sports calendars, everything else, so that I could figure out how to be where I needed to be when I needed to be. One of the things I know that you mentioned in the book, and maybe you could give us an example of this, is you put your family first, even if it costs you money.
That is, I was my background. My parents immigrated from Italy in 1962. I have a large extended Italian American family, and I kind of saw that growing up, where working hard and making money was definitely important. That's the classic immigrant mentality, right? But family did come first, and if somebody needed something within this group, the family would basically drop everything to make sure that they helped the family member that was in need. And so I practice that today with my own family, got opportunities, all kinds of, whether it's speaking opportunities or new client opportunities. And if it came down to me coaching baseball for my son's team, which is, I just finished up coaching, I've been coaching for 8 years, or acquire a new client, I would choose coaching baseball. I've had opportunities to meet presidents of the United States. If I just, stayed one more day for this meeting, we'd have breakfast together or something. And if it's my daughter's birthday, in one case, it was my daughter's birthday. It was her 10th birthday. I had to get home. So, it does come down to values. And while I would, I'm intrigued to have breakfast with a president of the United States, which would have been great, being there for my daughter's birthday, much, much more important. So if your values, or if you're aligned with your values, decisions become easy to make.
And you have to define your values if you want to get in alignment with them. And I think that's one of the areas people don't always do. I will tell you, the president's not going to remember you being there or not, but your daughter will for a lifetime.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so it's important to do that. In order to do these things, though, people need to understand their numbers. What have you seen with regards to your clients with people getting a good grasp of their numbers?
You know, what gets measured gets done. And this is something I learned years ago. And understanding your numbers, so whether it's your financial numbers or whether it's your own health numbers, or whether it's, you're tracking how many times you're going out for date night with your wife, or how often you're doing things, your dad and son, or dad and daughter weekend, or mom and son, or mom and daughter weekend. Tracking those things are important because it gives you a real indication of whether you're doing them or not, right? Hypothetically, we could think that we're doing things really good, but if you can't associate it with a number, it's hard to measure it, and it's hard to know whether you're doing something better or not without tying it in with some type of a measurable.
And it's interesting because your measurables are not just business measurables, they're life measurables. And keeping all the scorecards together so that you can create that balance across all three chords.
Yeah, it's either you did things or you didn't. And in the beginning of the year, as I do family planning, and I do goal planning with my kids, and and we try to lay things out so you can kind of define it based upon a metric. So if we like going up to Vermont as a family, we kind of try to figure out, okay, we're going to be there 38 nights this year. I mean, some people look at me like it's like, oh, that's it kind of takes a lot of the spontaneity out of things, not as much fun. But in order to get done all the things that we want to get done as busy business owners, you have to do it that way. Otherwise, it's just not possible to be successful in all three of those areas.
Life slips away, and if you don't plan it, it doesn't happen. I mean, that's just the reality of it. One of the things we talk about is money equals freedom. It gives you the ability to make choices. And, on my calls with clients, it's always the same. It's like, once they have excess cash and they've built their profit accounts up, it gives them the freedom to solve problems. They're not always struggling from behind. And so you've got to work towards getting that. What advice do you have for business owners to save for rainy days and retirement?
Well, I would tell you, what all business owners should be thinking about is what's their gross revenue, how much of that gross revenue they're actually keeping for themselves at the end of the day. We spoke a little earlier about the example of a restaurant owner that was doing $6 million in gross revenue and was only able to save about $10,000 per year. So the question is, where that $5,990,000, where's that money going? And it's paying everybody and everything else but himself. And he could literally work at a deli down the corner at the end of the street, and he'd be able to save more money by doing that versus having multiple operation, all the stresses and liabilities and all those other things that come with owning a business.
Do most business owners that you talk to know their net bottom line number usually, or is that a struggle for them?
It's a struggle. Very few actually know what they keep after they pay everybody and everything. I would say, no more than 10% of the business owner population that I've ever spoken to really understands that number.
And that's a shame. That's why I love Profit First, because it defines it for them. It shows it to them, and you can see it clear as day. It's visceral. And it's been great. And I know you've read the book and you enjoy sharing it with others as well.
The concept of Profit First is one of the best concepts that every business owner should, they should read the book, they should practice it, and it's a different thought process, and it really, I think the whole concept in a nutshell is it really doesn't make a difference how much money you gross, it's how much money you keep at the end of the day.
So true. And Mike was nice enough to endorse your book as well. I know you guys chat and are friendly with that too.
I read the book and I just loved it. And I sent Mike an email and we started corresponding back and forth via email, just the nicest guy. I told him I was writing a book. I asked him if he'd be willing to read my book, and he did. I asked if he'd be willing to endorse the book with a quote. He did. And it's very special because I very much admire the work that he has done for people as well.
So one of the areas that tends to come last for most entrepreneurs is their health. It seems to be last on the list, especially when it comes to diet and exercise, right? They work through lunch, they don't get there. What advice do you have for them?
A lot of the business owners that I've had the pleasure of getting to know, they always put themselves last. They almost view those, if they exercise too much, or if they're doing too many things for themselves, they almost kind of feel like it's being selfish, where they feel like they should be doing more for their family and for others and their office and their colleagues or whatever. And that's a bad thing because you've got to, the business owner, most business owners don't do a great job of carving off enough time for themselves. And they don't do enough time of carving off time for themselves to actually improve their own physical health. A lot of business owners do an amazing job at personal development. So the mental psyche, they read books, they go to workshops, they do a lot of great things with that. But on the physical side, most don't do a great job, and it's equally as important, if not more important, than the actual mental part of doing personal development.
Well, you've got to have the physical stamina to show up and do the work. And too many people give away their health for wealth, and then they give their wealth away to get their health back. And so it's unfortunately a shame. If you do, as you talk about with the three chords, keeping them all in alignment over time, you will end up in a better place.
Absolutely. Life goes by really, really quick. And I've met business owners that have tremendous financial wealth, but they're poor individuals, right? They're emotionally, they just really sad. And not only are they sad, they're also in bad health. And so I think that they give back the money to regain back great personal relationships as well as their own personal health.
And that's a shame. And I think coming back to time, I know one of the things you talked about in the book is people are spending time on what's urgent or what's important. What did you mean by that?
What I meant by that is, so as you think about the idea of urgent things, right? Urgent things come up in life, or a lot of times the things that come up that are really urgent may not necessarily be important. We want to focus our energy in the areas that are important but not urgent. So me exercising this morning was important, but it was not urgent, right? And if you focus, same thing with, maybe picking up the phone and calling a family member that you haven't spoke to in a little while. It's important, but it's not urgent. When things fall into the category of being urgent and important, those are usually chaotic situations that you want to avoid.
So how do we avoid them?
The way that we avoid those chaotic situations is to define what's really important to you as an individual, right? What's really important to you as a family person, what's really important to you as a business person, and what are the key activities that you should be focusing on. If you focus your energy in the key activities, your key activities become the important things for you to focus on, but not urgent. Things that are not key activities usually fall into the category of not urgent, or urgent and not important.
So what do you do with those? Just ignore them, or get someone else to do it, or?
Yeah, you do. You could. Well, number one is you want to try to avoid them at all costs, and it's the things that pop up in the urgent and the important space. Urgent and not important space are usually things that we kind of had lingering out there. So delegation of having somebody else actually do those activities for you, which is a great idea. As an entrepreneurs give up part of their revenue stream to others in exchange for freedom, right? And that's really important. It's one thing that me as an entrepreneur, I've been thinking more and more about. I've got a great team of people that I work with at my office, and I'm happy to give up revenue which allows me to basically be able to do more things with my family, more things for myself. It's not selfish. It gives somebody else an opportunity, which they're looking for, and allows me to be able to do more things that I'd like to do on my own as well. But back to what you had said, you got to have that profit first savings in order to really afford you the luxury of doing that.
You do, and that's one of the benefits. The other thing is, it kind of sounds like you are working on your business instead of in your business. You're learning how to get out of the things that you don't need to do, and you've been intentional with that.
Very intentional. I try to break my day down into thirds where a third of the day I like to work on the business, a third of the day I like to work in the business, and a third of the day I like to be a family person and start working on those other chords, right? Personal and family. And so I love working on the business. I love working in the business, and I love being there for the for my family. And I am trying, even myself, right? I wrote the book on it here. I'm trying to get better at physical and the physical side of things. And I'm making capital investments, working with trainers, reading more and more material about it. I'd like to be here until I'm 100 years old. So we got to we got to work at that in order for that to happen, right? We think about accumulating $1 million, but what about accumulating the years?
And that's true. I think that's the equation that everyone forgets, is the time equation. They don't see it as valuable, and then one day you wake up and it's all gone. And that, unfortunately, is a shame. But it's hard to see a time bank. And I know when I had kids, that was kind of the one time bank is, hey, you get 18 years with these kids for the most part, right?
Yeah.
0 to 18. After that, your time and your being with them is considerably less. So make good use of that time that you have and understand that it is valuable.
It is. It really is true wealth, right? True. That's, not everybody's fortunate to have children for whatever reason, but I do, I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about, I've got to go do this for my kid. I've got to do that. I'm like, there's a lot of people that would love to have children. And I'm like, you get to, right? Many people would love to get that opportunity that you're viewing yourself as saying, I've got to. So it is something that people should cherish. And it's one of the, if people are fortunate enough to have kids, it's a wonderful part of life.
It is. How often do you see, because you said you spend a third of your day working on your business. Is that what you normally see with most of your clients, that they're spending that much time on their business? Not really. I think most business owners work from a technical standpoint. There are a lot of our technicians in their business, or you see some business owners that work exclusively on their business. And me personally, I am still in a phase with my business where I work on the business and I work in the business. And I know that the only way I'm going to basically be able to grow from where we are is that I've got to work on both. I just can't work on one or the other. I mean, I could work on one, right? I could say I'm going to just be the CEO of this business, and I'm going to hire everybody to do all the things that I do as a technician in the business, which may eventually happen. It's not happening now, but I think that in order for the business to get to the level I think it can get to, at some point that would probably have to be the case, is where you remove yourself as a technician, and then you have great technicians that are part of the organization. I find that's a step that's very difficult for business owners, to stop being the technician. What have you found?
That's true. I think it's a control piece. They kind of view, well, nobody else is going to basically be able to do this like me. There's a whole host of different reasons. But, and it really, it's really what's important to, what's important to themselves as really what they want for themselves, right? So at this point in life, I still want to be part of the technical aspect of our business. and I want to be leading the charge from a leadership standpoint as well. But eventually, I'm going to get capped at to what's going to be possible just doing it this way.
Well, and I'm assuming you're staying in the technician role because you enjoy it.
Absolutely. I enjoy working with clients every day. And so enjoy the relationships. I enjoy providing value to them. And, as a technician, you also have an opportunity where you can hire a CEO. You said, I really like being a technician. You can hire somebody to lead the business. For me, I'm currently doing both, and I'm enjoying it.
Well, and I think that takes the time to think through what is it that you want and what's important to you, which I know you do quite a bit of, and then building your life to do that. Do you have any great success stories of some people that you've seen turn around by following your lessons?
Yeah, I do. A lot of times when we first start to work with business owners, they think that our core intention is providing them just with financial advice, asset management, portfolio rates of return. But as they get to know us and they get to know our process, they see that the family piece ties in, and they see that the personal piece ties in as well. So we've seen these, business owners that operate at, breakneck speed, focus on their business, shift. And, we're going to take the whole family on vacation. They start to reallocate their time and the financial resources differently as a result of the conversations. So it's great. That's really rewarding. When I see that, it really makes my day, because as we all know, you can't take the money with you, right?
No, you can't. But it also means that you do need to be a good steward of it as well. You've got to find that balance between the two and doing it appropriately. And it's good that you look at all of those different factors as you work with people. Is there anything else that you wanted to chat about today that we did not get to?
Well, let's see. I think we covered a lot of the different areas. We talked about planning. We talked about, financial advice. We talked about self, business, family. I think we've covered a lot of the different areas. I think we've done a great job of highlighting all the important topics of the book.
Cool. If people would like to learn more about you or about the book, what is the best way for them to do that?
They could go to the website. Go to my website, which is roccoacarriero.com. That's ROCCOA as an apple. Carriero, CARRIERO.com.
And we will put that in the show notes to make it easy for people to find you. And if they would like to connect and look at investment advice, I encourage them to do so. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
In case you didn't know it, Mike Michalowicz is really a cool guy, and he does respond to his emails. However, he won't help you implement profit first. That's why I'm here. Having profit allows you to take care of your health, create margin in your life so you can be with your family, get to the gym, hire a trainer. Have you figured out your values? Do you spend time working on your business instead of in your business? These are both important steps, and they will help you to live a better life. Remember, you don't need more resources. You need to be more resourceful. We focus on the bottom line. If you want a done-for-you service, you can have me as your Chief Profitability Officer, because you have your zone of genius and want to spend your time doing what you love. I only work with a handful of clients, so they get my full attention. I work with business owners who have or are growing to $500,000 to $5 million in revenue. You can use the scheduling link in the show notes to get on my calendar for a good fit conversation to see if I'm the right person to support you and how I can help you. If you want to learn about living the life of your dreams, check out my other podcast, Richer Soul. As we close out, let's repeat the mantra. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. Have an abundant and profitable week.